Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicolas Rousseau. I'm product manager for FlexNet Manager and Flexera One. I would be glad today to go through the topic of software usage, how it is managed in FlexNet Manager, and how the application is storing the data and how you can use it. We will have 1 hour, and this is one of the SAM Best Practices webinar series once a month. We have a call which will be addressing various topics, and every time you can vote for the topics, the priorities. So I will start sharing my screen and stop the video, the camera, to be sure that everything is hearing correctly what I'm saying. Let's go. So I will start the sharing now. And just to start, okay. So just to start, this is today's session is about metering and usage. Once a month we are meeting. Just very quickly, if you go to the Flexera community, so let's go to community.flexera.com. You will find every month, and the next topic will be published probably in 2 weeks. You will find every month the announcements in the Community Hub, in the events and webinars, and every new session is published here. Knowing that for each new session, you have 2 things. One, which is the registration link that you can open here. So probably you got registered if you're hearing me today. And the second thing is that you can vote for the topics. And you will see that the topics actually are, providing the recordings of the session that have been already prioritized by the customers and the audience. And you will see each of the presentation is getting the link to the topics. And of course, this one, metering and software usage, which is planned, which is starting today, will be published as well as the previous sessions. So I'm going to go through the agenda for today. So today we will start with the last session pointers and answers to questions. There were a number of questions that were requested, asked about the topics. I will also go through some news and give a quick view on the latest or the versions that are coming soon. And we will deep dive into the topic, which is managing metering and usage. You will see this is a vast topic, which covers multiple types of applications. So I will try to cover with a mix of presentation and also short demos. I must admit I will spend more time on the presentations and showing things in the slides. And of course, this presentation is recorded. You will get the slides in the community hub, and the data will be reused and will be reusable. Let's start with the first thing, which is the last session. That was everything on about Oracle, FlexNet Manager Studio, FlexNet Manager Suite. The recording and PowerPoints are published in the community. So if you click on this link, again, you will see this is again the event and webinar section of the Community Hub. And you will get the video of the last one, which was everything on Oracle. The details on the video, what you had step by step. The presentation I used, which is a PDF derived from the PowerPoint. And finally, you will get you will get this available on the Community Hub. There were some questions that I will address now. So first, a big topic was around the new agent 2021 R1 that is collecting the Java application data on Unix, particularly the Java instance details, including the exact version that include the build number and the path of installation. So the question was, can we use the 2021 R1 agent on a 2020 R2 FNMS instance? This is for a non-prime customer, of course. And the answer is, and I got already this answer in the very first presentation I made. Backward compatibility is not official and not a tricky, is a little bit a tricky thing. However, the way the agent works and the way it generates the NDI file that will augment with more features, let's say Oracle middleware or Java, will actually support to be imported in a previous version of the database. For instance, if we add, some, let's say, container information, because the script that ingests in Inventory Manager the NDI files does not try to catch the container data, while the Inventory Manager backend doesn't have the ability to store container information, for instance. There will be no error. The data will just stay in the NDI unused. So my recommendation is to test it first and deploy once it has been tested. But technically, there is no reason why the more recent version of the agent, 2021 R1, would not work on 2020 R2 backend. Second question, which was related to Oracle soft partitioning. Somebody asked, if FlexNet, so FlexNet is today computing the soft partitioning using the vCenter 5 rule, which is if one VM is in a cluster, the full cluster should be licensed for the application. FlexNet today in the license logic doesn't allow to pick up what different level of soft-partitioning we would like to use. Just a reminder, so the Oracle optimization reports that have been published in 2021 R1 and 2021 R1.1, and which have been also published, as you see here, in the community for on-prem customers, even for older versions. These reports include this what-if analysis and this comparison, what is the additional cost if I'm using this and this. And what I can say that there is no short-term plan to extend the license logic to include the choice of the level of partitioning. This may change, but this is not what we have in the planned release. But I would say that the reports do fully the job, because the reports will show both comparison, level of partitioning by level of partitioning, as well as consumption details, just like the license consumption detail tab allows to understand what is consumed. These reports, which I demoed and you could go and see in the previous presentation recording, these reports will give you the full details and the full explanations. Next question was, are these Oracle reports already released in 2020 R2? I'm not sure that the same person who asked the first question, but definitely the reports were not released. They were released in 2021 R1 and 2021 R1.1 in July and September. That said, the reports have been released for a while, actually, in the community. So, I keep the links again. But if you go to the Google, if you run on the link and access to Google Chrome, okay, we will need to let it refresh slowly. You will see that these reports have been, published. You get in the post, in the knowledge base article post, the full details, what the report do, what is the logic, a preview of the reports. And more interestingly, at the bottom of the report, you have the 44 version of the solution, which you can download, and which contains basically the same description, but more interestingly, it contains the SQL code to create each of the reports. So I will not spend too much time on it, because we have quite some work today, some content. But you will see this document contains everything that you see, and the view creation code, which are nothing else than embedded files which contain the SQL code. So this code may be a little bit less performing than the published one. The productization included making the reports faster. I will update soon the reports to include these performance optimization. But yeah, I'm just having a challenge right now opening the embedded files, but you will see, the embedded files if my Word was working correctly, the embedded file contained the code of these reports. So no worries. If you're on-prem, you can use the published solution, which you will find code and links for in this PowerPoint. Next question, would it be possible to receive the slideshow? Yeah, when I'm running the presentation, just like this one, I'm just uploading, the welcome slide because I may, retouch a little bit some of the slides I'm presenting. So definitely monitor what will be published in the webinar / web events and webinar section. So the web hub, the community hub, and you will find the recordings, just like I'm providing the recording for this one. You will get the recording for this metering and usage session within, I would say, 3 days, uploaded and communicated in this community hub. And finally, same question a little bit. Are these, reports available for on-premise customers? I will not engage you enough to check in the community the list of reports which have been published for on-prem customers. So what you will more and more see is features which are not available to on-prem customer, which are already released in the cloud solution. But when these are common features, they will be released in the next on-prem feature. So that's just a timing difference. And reversely, in the community, you may have solutions just like automated Java, embedded Java instances management, which are available in the community, and that are sort of previews of the published and productized solutions that will come in the future releases. So you can use and implement the Oracle reports, including the optimization report, but also the Oracle inventory quality troubleshooting. This report was actually already published, and this is a report which is catching the various issues as well as the explanations. So you will see that that's a quite detailed report, which is giving some analysis on the possible issues for Oracle inventory, and that gives all the details, including the logs, in a flat list, which is quite practical if you want to deep dive into your Oracle inventory and what went well and not well. So that's it for the last session. Let's move on. On the new side, Flexera 1 2021 R1.3, so the cloud version of FlexNet Manager, is planned for early December. This version will include the SQL optimization report. Actually, there is only one report. The Windows Server optimization report will be in the next cloud version, which is actually planned for January. So you will get early December 2021 R1.3, and then in January, the next cloud version. For FNMS on-prem, you may have seen the announcements. The next release will actually be in 2022 R1, which is will be a 2022 R1, which is in April. So still around these topics, which are how can I anticipate a feature, monitor the community and the knowledge base articles which have been released. But the next full version, on-prem version, will come a little bit later than this year. It will come in April 2020. And last news, piece of news I wanted to share with you, which is the Java recognition on Unix, which is quite a big topic for some of you, will be released in the ARL on November 19th, 2021, so next week. And this is basically the ARL, provided you use the FlexNet Manager 2021 agent, which is collecting the Java instances, including their inventory, their folder, and their version. If you use this agent, you will be able to catch the and recognize the deployed applications with the ARL new evidences that will be released on November 19th. That's it for the news. Let's move on the metering and usage. Metering and usage is, this is an introduction slide, and you will see some deep dive. This is a vast topic, which is extremely critical for organization, because based on usage, the next step of usage is being able to uninstall or stop a subscription. So optimization requires usage. We have seen in many cases, optimization is not just about usage. It can be about how you have deployed your VMware architecture, let's say your clusters and your virtual machines and so on, which is true for Oracle or Microsoft. However, for the desktop applications, mostly, usage is critical because, if you have, let's say, 500 Visio Professional deployed, Visio Professional being something like, if we think about the perpetual license, this is an $800 license. You may be interested in knowing which ones have not been used for more than 3 months. This is quite critical, and this represents quite big savings. First thing I would like to introduce is a very good knowledge base article by Chris Grinton, who is a Flexera manager. He has worked in many parts of the organization, but he has been in services, he's in customer success. You will see this document is super detailed on how usage works, how the data is collected, and how you can find it. So that there is really a lot in this, and you will see what the presentation I'm doing is actually covering some very similar topics. But you will get, a lot of information here in this knowledge base article. Okay, so I just keep the link. I will not go through everything. Actually, I will not go through this post, which is very good. You see the number of like is very high, and I will move forward in this PowerPoint, which is putting the metering in the context of licensing and compliance and optimization. So if we can move forward in the introduction, metering is either a last use date, which is quite simple if we talk about installed application metering, or you could have more sophisticated things such as the number of hours per week, which is really the metering and not just last use date. What is the quantity of time people have used the application? It can be on Windows, actually, also on Unix. I've seen some metering coming on the Mac OS, which is a Unix OS. Metering, can be either very simple, when was it used last, or more complex, which is a mix actually of the quantity of time in the sessions, as well as the on-screen / process time. And you will see later, but metering actually, keeping the flow of the slide, the metering can come from the FlexNet agent. This is one of the features of FlexNet. It can come from SCCM. Actually, you have two levels of metering. One which is just a last use date that SCCM will provide you through the asset intelligence database, or you can get metering detailed information that the agent will collect. It's quite tricky to set up, but you will get the quantity of time per user and so on. So these are two sources of metering. The FlexNet agent can provide usage metering from the usage agent on the installed application for the desktops mainly. It can also provide you Oracle inventory and Oracle auction usage, thanks to the very detailed LMS script, which is catching so much information to provide you the proof of usage of the installed application, of the options. Office 365 or Microsoft 365 portal also provides online usage, so the beacon, is able to connect to this portal, and you will see this is another type of usage that you can find in FlexNet Manager. And I will show you a little bit more how you can find this usage and how you can use it. So what is the metering that we need? I was anticipating a little bit, but last Tuesday I would say is good enough. I know customers, during a discussion before acquiring the solution, there are long discussions around, what can you manage, what can you track, do you see last use date per user? Of course, we do that. This is the typical thing for metering. Do you see the time for the last month, the last week, the last year? Yes, we can, but actually, in my experience of consulting, my 8 years in consulting, most of the time, having a last use date and trusting it, which is a little bit the core of this presentation, trusting it is really what you need to make a decision, which is it worth uninstalling the application? Is it worth stopping the subscription, or eventually downgrading the user to a cheaper subscription? This is very valid for desktop applications, Oracle options. Otherwise, if you think about let's say SQL Server or Oracle database even, these are applications which are using services, and the usage, which actually Oracle option usage is not a real usage. It's not just it's running. It's some records have been created in some tables which show that the option is really used. But for the last use date, I've seen so far very, very limited interest for these several applications. So today's conversation will be very focused on on-prem desktop applications, online usage, which comes from the Office portal, a little bit of Oracle options, but I will be fast because that was really the coverage of my last presentation, everything about Oracle. And that will be the focus. We will see a little bit later that metering and recognition are related, but not so. This is quite important to understand how an application is recognized and if there are files in the recognition to make sure that metering will be correctly managed by the FlexNet agent. And finally, we will see examples on how optimization can be performed and how to extend metering, which is more for on-prem customers, but that's a very, very interesting topic. Let's move on. So installed applications. Typically, I will talk about Acrobat. I will talk about Visio project, which are expensive applications, and that require a careful monitoring for the usage, because these are typically applications where you have between 50 and 60% of unused applications. I can tell you from my past experience. So that's interesting to see that understanding the usage for these applications can lead really to great savings, and but typically you need to take action. If an application is not used for, let's say, a project, you need to uninstall project to be able later to have no true-up in your, let's say, Microsoft Enterprise Agreement, or no renewal of subscriptions for Office 365 project or project online. So definitely, understanding the usage and connecting the usage are absolutely critical to making and to saving money on these desktop applications. So if I start with the Flexera agent on what we can use to catch metering data and last use date particularly, you need first to activate the usage agent. The usage agent has a different, this is actually a different pattern from the classical inventory agent. And very quickly, because I feel that I will be short in time, if you go to, first you can deploy the agent, of course. And if you deploy the agent, you will be able to set, in the mgssetup.ini, which is the file that you will use to deploy your agent, you can set, metering equals yes, or track usage equals yes. You will find the line that's quite obvious in this file. And if you did not, we have some ways of actually enabling the data collection. For instance, if I take this discovery and inventory rule, you will see that that's a little bit counterintuitive thing, but when you define a target, you define some things that will influence how the agent works. Basically, there is an inventory settings.xml file, which is pushed from FNMS to the agents when they connect to the beacons first. And when the agent connect to the beacons, they update their inventory settings.xml. And interestingly, if you create a new target, you will see that you have some specific allow cal access evidence collection. So this one is for catching on the servers, Windows server typically, the client access login information, such as SharePoint access, Windows Server access, or SQL Server access. And for the adoption rule will normally not be used if you deploy your agent using, let's say, SCCM or any deployment tool. And this one, you see, application usage option. If you set this to a target, which is, let's say, your full estate, even if you have already deployed the agent with saying that the agent were not, collecting metering data, you can actually, by creating an overall target, even if none of your tasks, inventory and discovery tasks, are using this target, strangely, the target will influence how the agent is performed on the devices. So keep in mind, this after the deployment step, possibility to enable usage on the agents by defining a target. That's not completely intuitive, but it works very well. I've done it for years, so keep that in mind. If you see no usage, you may want to do that. And one thing that I didn't even show, but a very first thing, in this page, if you want to collect usage information, you also need to collect file evidence, which actually will allow to also collect the usage. So keep in mind, by default, file evidence may not be collected. You need to collect, both file evidence and usage, because the way it comes into the database is, let's say, project.exe was used on this computer for this amount of time. So to have the full picture, you need project to be, it's WinProject.exe actually. You need WinProject or a project to be recognized. It will use necessary evidence. You need the usage to come in, and you need to be sure that the file evidences that will be related to your computer are matched by the usage information, so that you get the full picture on a recognized application which has a usage line. So moving back to the PowerPoint, I was here. So here, I will not spend too much time, but you have a number of tables which are storing the usage information. And this is actually a little bit tricky, but the usage data, if we think about the Flexera agent, will be stored in the inventory manager database. All the data that you see in the compliance database, what you see on the web client, comes from the inventory manager database. And in this inventory manager database, you have some usage records, which are for installer evidence and for file evidence usage, installer evidence usage. And this usage data is actually stacked, which means that if you have WinProj.exe used this week, it will not create a new record in this usage table. It will append a new quantity of session and length of session to an existing WinProj.exe usage record that was eventually existing for the last 6 months. So the data is not, is stacked weeks per weeks, week per week, and month per month. And as a result, the last use date will be the latest usage of related to file evidence, for instance, which is mapped to a recognized application. So when you activate usage, you will see later, you have a way to activate usage for all files. Yes, there is a big impact on the quantity of data that you collect from the usage agent, but you are not, multiplying basically, we don't have the number of files multiplied by the number of times that have been used in terms of records in the database. Each file, once it's one file on the computer, will have usage updating the stacked usage information or the weekly or monthly usage information. And we are not, we don't keep importing more usage reports. I will go through the list. So we can collect usage on Windows and Unix for macOS. The last use date, the number of sessions, in-focus sessions can be also used. But honestly, I think it's nice to discuss in pre-sale discussion about the fact we can catch that, but real life, the usage, last use date is good enough. The metering agent will monitor all executable installed through WMI package. You will see that's a limitation. We don't track any usage from any file, or only if they are linked to a WMI package. And the installer evidence usage will be collected. And again, you will see that's part of the limitations. Installer evidence usage, which we collect, this is basically what you see in the add remove program last use date, needs to be activated for the, more recently, it has become a default behavior of the agent, but there are many customers who actually have no installer evidence usage for the agent, for the FlexNet agent. So that's one thing that could be activated. Usage information will be imported into the inventory manager database and aggregated per week, per month, that's in these tables, which is happening. And the inventory import into FNMS compliance will update the existing records. So we are not, creating as many records as usage sessions. We are just stacking data and updating existing records. In terms of limitations, for performance reasons, not all files are monitored. And the installer evidence usage can be misleading. That's a limitation that is not just for FlexNet Manager. I've seen that with SCCM usage. You could have strange things such as WinPro.exe, which is coming in a table called recently used apps. But you will see this file is associated to, let's say, Internet Explorer. So you can have some strange things, installer evidence usage, depending on how the application has been registering itself when being installed, could be a little bit less reliable. But I would say it still brings a lot of data, which is mostly good to keep. But that's good to know that. For SCCM, this is nearly the same story, actually. The last use date will be captured by the SCCM agent. And if you want to do real usage metering to get the session details, contrary to the FNMS agent, where this is more all or nothing behavior, you have no last use date if you just do inventory. But if you enable the inventory or the usage for the FlexNet agent, you will get all the details, number of sessions, time in session, and so on. SCCM will be slightly different, which means that you need to, file by file, activate usage recording. And I guess it's, again, about making sure that you don't have issues with the performance and quantity of data. And the recently used apps will contain the aggregated rows, same behavior, containing installer and file information on the same record. The SCCM import into FlexNet Manager will create both file and installer evidence from these rows. So there is a row in the recently used apps that will say WinPro.exe, which is related to Office Project 2016 Professional, got a last use date of this date, and the data, while being imported into FNMS, will actually be split between the file and installer usage. And you will see this data that we collect is very critical to understand how because then we will need to recognize the applications, and we need to recognize the application and attach the usage to it. So we are catching as much usage as possible, because once we have this raw usage stored from SCCM or from the FlexNet data, the second step will link the usage to the recognized application. And that's why here, we multiply by 2 the usage we get, but that's a way of optimizing and maximizing our chances to link the usage to the installed applications. So you see that's the type of inconsistent data, iExplore.exe. It's actually the reverse. Microsoft project was described as a recognized or as an application in this recently used apps table, while iExplore.exe was the executable that was linked to that. SCCM seems to retain forever the usage data. That's important to know that when you import FNMS when you import SCCM data into FlexNet, we intentionally import only the last 3 months of usage. When you start a new project, or if you connect a new SCCM server to FlexNet Manager, we will collect only the last 3 months to avoid the overwhelming data to come into FNMS. Then every time you will re-import SCCM data, we will re-import the last 3 months, but we will keep updating the records in FNMS. So long story short, you could have a last use date which is 10 years old in FNMS, coming from SCCM data or from the FlexNet agent. Even if every time we re-import the data, we just focus on the last 3 months, we don't lose, the usage information that could be older than that. Hopefully it makes sense, but it took me some time to to understand that. It's not completely obvious sometimes. When I was saying we try to link as much as possible usage to recognize application, this is a nice and easy case. If you open an application, let's say, project 2016 professional, you will see that we have the installer evidence, which are used to recognize Office project. That's quite easy. It's from the add remove program signatures, installer evidences. And we have these files which are not for recognition. You may have seen that in the file tab of the application detail. And this is just because if we get on one side raw usage from winproj.exe 16.2.3.5, if we have on the other side on a given computer, we get the computer ID. If on the other side we have recognized Office project professional from the add remove program, which contains the edition, while the file doesn't contain the edition. That's why we don't use the file to recognize. The file evidence is too poor to allow to understand the edition. However, if we have the professional edition recognized, plus a file showing that it was used yesterday, the inventory import, the writer, will join the information and update the last use date of the application on the server, on the computer. So in the below case, I've described a little bit what happens. So the limitations, I started to emphasize a little bit the limitations on the usage collection for the agent, for the FlexNet agent. This is just related to WMI packages. It excludes the C windows, which is sort of a hard-coded exclusion to avoid getting too much useless information. However, you can extend the data collection. I will go through that a little bit later. Secondly, a third limitation I wanted to emphasize is that you can, check if the installer evidence data gets collected a bit before 2020 R1. That was not by default. And again, the solution I will post along with this presentation will contain, how to extend and how to make the agent also collect the installer evidence. And finally, well, it's not a limitation, but we have to keep in mind that if you have an installer evidence, an application recognized through installer evidences, which is the case for many, many desktop applications, If you don't have any file evidence in the definition of the application, of course, the raw evidence, if you have no insider evidence for the application, if you have no insider usage, the file evidence will never allow to recognize or to link the usage to the recognized application. So that's one thing. If you have a critical application you want to track usage on, check in the application recognition which are the file and insider evidences. If I go here, let's say install applications. If you have, let's say, a desktop application, you absolutely want to track 7-zip 17 beta, which has been installed in this demo system. If you want to track the usage of this application, and if you don't have any installer usage activity, be aware that the file usage that the agent will report, if this application has been installed using a WMI package, is the file evidence. So if you have an insider evidence to recognize it, but no file evidence, you will get no usage for the application. So it's important to understand, the possible risks of not having file linked to the application in the definition. Very often, we get questions or tickets, and by deep diving, we need to make this check. Is a file also associated to the insider evidence? First, do you get insider evidence usage at all? You need to activate it sometimes. And if it's not activated, you have no way to collect insider evidence, I'm not sure, and the file is not used for or not linked to the application in the ARL, you will not get the usage. And one more thing, 64-bit insider usage was not collected. This is all about the path that the metering agent, usage agent is checking. In the registry, the 64-bit data, or usage data, was not correctly captured until the 2020 R1 agent. So again, I remember customers complaining about Acrobat or Adobe applications not being recognized or not being tracked for usage. This is very likely to be caused by this version of the agent. So in the end, while the usage is extremely useful and correctly managed in FNMS, even if it's not a simple topic, it can help deciding on what application to remove. However, it must be very carefully assessed at the beginning of the project. Test it to trust it. This is really my point. Usage, by default, you should challenge usage before you use it as a criterion to uninstall the applications or downgrade some packages. Moving forward, I will be fast on this one. This is a slide that you had in the previous month, in the October some best practice presentation. The beacon or the agents are collecting Oracle option usage, but here this is a totally different topic. In the end, you get in the inventory settings at XML, again, you get some big queries, SQL queries, which are encrypted, which every time will catch instance per instance, table by table, and this can be super complicated. There's something like 2,000 rows in the LMS SQL script that we run. These queries will catch, if you have advanced compression, it will check the number of compressed segments which have not been compressed by a system user. So you have some complicated queries, but in the end, the NDI file for the Oracle NDI is containing the logs of the raw data, which you can find in this Oracle options.csv. You will get the flat list of usage evidences for the options and the features. And the NDI, which will create the insider evidence, which we call uninstall evidence for the LMS Oracle data. You will just get use equals yes or use equals no for, let's say, advanced compression or active data graph, for instance. So we get in FNMS the result of all these underlying checks to be able to say that an option is used, yes or no. So this is a completely different world. I let you go back to the full presentation. I spent quite some time on the Oracle option usage. But this is another type of usage that can be collected by the FlexNet Manager agent. Another type of usage, which actually is more and more useful and that can have some mysteries. Microsoft 365, you have the beacon connector that will connect to the Office portal, and if you see the data that you see on the uploaded files of the beacon, you will see that you have these files, which are zipped, basically, and there is a set of XML files which contain computer data. Actually, these are the users. So get users from Office 365. This is a list of users with the email address. You get actually a number of files, but the interesting one for us is usage, which will basically link the user with its unique ID, its UUID, to the usage, which is, let's say, OneDrive basic. So you will get a last use date. Okay, sorry, this one, for instance, this one, it says, for instance, Nicholas has been using Visio Online, let's say, on 24th of May 2020. So the data is collected by the beacon from the Office 365 business adapter. And just to open you a little bit the secrets of FlexNet Manager, if you go to the reader, so this is a demo system which has everything. If you go to the, let's say, application server, I will need to go actually to program data. There we go. Program data, Flexera software, compliance, and then you have the import procedures. And that's something that you also see on the beacon, because the central database pushes these files to the beacons, even if you're a SaaS customer. And in the inventory reader, which is the read step, and Microsoft 365, you see that there is a PowerShell, which is containing the logic which is used for collecting both flat list of subscriptions, list of installer evidence, which are the online applications, and the usage of users on installer evidences. Everything is in this file, so that's quite interesting if you want to understand, what logic is used by FlexNet Manager. And just to be very careful on that, you see that the data gets uploaded, but recently, Microsoft introduced a data obfuscation feature, which means that in the reports, you can make the report data, display concealed user group and site names in all reports. If you have that checked, FlexNet and the beacon will stop immediately reporting any usage on any user. Just to show you, and that's a quite recent thing, so I wanted to share with you if you are right now working on such Office 365 projects. If you take this file, which is the report, actually, query report, which is an Office report, the report will contain the usage, not for all applications, but it contains the usage for SharePoint, Skype for Business, Yammer, etc. And in a normal file, you would see this type of information, which allows the importer to link the usage to the user from the email address. If you have this setting enabled, this is the type of thing you get. So no way the inventory import, the Office 365 import, would create usage for the Office applications. So that's one warning. Be careful if you are using this option, which has been set up by default. So it's actually probably removing the usage data, even if you had the correct usage. And if you uncheck that, you will start seeing what we see here, which is online usage for a number of applications. And you see typically, a computer with this access mode, very important. That's how you define that an application has been imported from the Office usage, Office online usage or Office portal. We will flag, with Office 365, the installed application. So you can create very quickly a report, from any application. So if you go to reports, if you create a new report, if you say, I want to create from an installation, you will see that the access mode is the first field, which actually will give you very interesting information, such as this is an Office online usage. This is eventually AppV usage or Citrix. You will get how the installation got imported, and sometimes this is with the inventory imports that we create some, I would say, fake installed applications because they are not coming from the on-prem inventory of the computers. They have been created by the Office portal or by the Citrix or AppV imports. And of course, the last use date and is used are here. Okay. Moving forward. So once you get, everything on Office, you will get usage, and you will have installed application with the last use date, as you see here. And the next step is, FlexNet will have usage data, which has been collected. So big efforts on the prerequisites, making sure that you have the right agent, that you have enabled the usage, that your SCCM import includes usage. Normally, there is not so much to do on the SCCM side. But once you trust the usage data, how can you access the usage data? So this is useful. Usage is useful, definitely. Unused applications will trigger a decision for an installation or a subscription downgrade. And we'll have a quick look to the out-of-the-box screens and reports, reporting that allows to understand what your usage is. So I will connect to Flexera 1. This is the demo system with Flexera 1, which has better usage in my own database. And you will see that okay, it's taking a little bit of time. Okay, so logging again. Okay, sorry. Flexera 1. Logging again, and you will see that there is a screen in FlexNet Manager for raw usage. But this screen is quite limited. It's limited to the inventory manager usage, which is the FlexNet agent. So if you type, raw, it's one of the inventory and discovery menus. You will see that you have the raw software usage, which contains, which file of which exact version. This is raw data, the number of sessions, the number of weeks the sessions are covered by, they are reflected. And this is the first sign, of the underlying usage that you can collect from this raw usage menu. And the raw usage menu, just to, hopefully I will find it. Okay. Somebody tells me that my screen doesn't share. Okay, I will share again. Hopefully you hear me. Share my screen. Okay. Hopefully you see my screen again. So the usage we can see on Flexera 1. Here we go. So you see here, there is a menu which is in inventory and raw software usage. When you click on that, you get, this has very limited data, but you get here, a long list that could take time to upload. And the list will show you the raw usage, just like you could see, the raw usage in the tables that you have in these tables. Just to show you, if I show the software raw usage here, you will probably see. Okay, I have nothing here, but yeah. So I will not spend too much time trying to find some, but you get actually the number of sessions, the active time, and so on, with the ID, of course. And if you run in this menu, you will see the raw usage. That's the first easy way to find usage. Another easy way to find usage is to go to the installed application screen. Okay, it sounds like there are issues with the screen sharing. So I'm going to reshare. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and share again. Okay, hopefully the system will be stable. Okay, maybe I did something wrong. So if I go back to the presentation, another way of checking. Another way of checking the usage is to see, this usage column, which is compared to the install column. So in the install application screen, you can find any information, let's say on project. And here, I'm seeing a rather good ratio, but normally this is quite low, the usage that we see. And just to show you how this usage is calculated, if you go to the application detail, we have a way on the application, little issue that it's application by application, but we have a way on the application to set up what we will consider as usage. So here, you could have more, honestly, any usage for less than 3 months is good enough, I would say. But you could say, I want a 6 months usage criterion. And then any installed application will be flagged as is used as soon as the last use date will be less than 6 months. So that's a second way of seeing, the usage. It's once it has been calculated by the inventory import. A third way, of course, is to create a report with the last use date and the is used. I showed that a little bit earlier. And finally, the license are using the usage information. If I say, show me, for instance, for project, licenses are using the usage information you see here. It's not always, you need first to have the usage being meaningful and working correctly. But once you have good usage information, a license will say, let's say, project is installed on Nicolas' machine, but it's not used. And you will see in the detail of the Microsoft project license, let's say this one. Yeah. So if you go to the project 2016 license, you can see user per user on the consumption tab. You can see user per user, who has used, who has installed. We can see that, for instance, the only actually used project in this list is this one. So that's a second way third way of managing usage. And if I move forward a little bit, because we're going to be late, be aware that some reports, which will be coming soon in FlexNet Cloud, we plan that for January. Some reports which have been published actually for on-prem customers will take this data. This one is for Adobe, for instance. What is complex is that you get the information is dispersed. So you will get installed applications on one side, you will get a subscription on the other side. The license will show you which are the subscriptions, which are the used applications, and so on. But this report, which is published, and we provide the link, this solution also shows how to import subscriptions. This report will actually allow you to roll up the usage, installation application, and even the cost at user level. So for instance, this person has this machine, which has been inventoried quite recently. This user is actually consuming an Adobe Creative Cloud license. This is an end user license. So in FNMS, if you have an installed application which is listed by the license and the user is allocated, it will consume. That's what's happening here. And this person has this set of installed application. The final report will not contain the last usage because usage is here. So it has, let's say, Dreamweaver, Bridge, and Illustrator, plus InDesign, let's say. So probably 15 applications have been installed. Only one is really used, Acrobat DC, and the report, because it's able to catch the data in all the tables and roll up the data, will tell you, yeah, this person has today an active consumption for Creative Cloud, but you should downgrade the user's plan to a standalone product based on usage. So this is a priority 2. Priority 1 would be more, this user needs to be downgraded to a standalone product based on installed products. So here, if we had only Acrobat installed, for instance, and Acrobat used, the report would say, be careful, you are paying $700. You could save, this amount, 500, because this user is actually just using the equivalent of a standalone subscription. So hopefully this makes sense. And another report, which is coming soon as well, is the Office optimization report. This is more complex to calculate the downgrades between E5 and E3, for instance, because the applications which are causing the difference are often related to security or level of service, such as backup and encryption. These are services, and while it's easy from E3 to E1 to say the user is just using online applications, this is harder to say from E3 or from E5 to E3 because one of the only difference I found is Power BI, but unfortunately Power BI is not always monitored per usage. So we are doing some research right now, but the same logic as this Adobe report, which is published, which you can use from now on if you're on-prem, will be published on Office using nearly the same code, but just different downgrade patterns. Okay, and then I will unfortunately have not so much time to finish the presentation, but I will attach to this presentation 2 things, 2 documents. I will not have an embedded document because it will be a PDF, but you have this document which allows to extend the usage collection to all files. So it explains again, how metering works and so on. And this solution will show you how to create a manual mapper, which needs to be on the local machines, on the computers with the agents. If you did not deploy with the MGS setup.ini, so you need to modify the registry keys of the machines. And I will not go through so much detail, but this document shows how to extend to any file type the monitoring of usage. It also shows, how to add the installer usage collection for the agents, for the usage agents, and it explains, how to do it in the agent, or eventually how to create a policy. Group policy, which will deploy the new registry keys for these, add remove program data collection, and for the, for instance, all file, so for the manual mapper creation. So I will attach this document. You will have a look. And the last one, that document is a little bit a side topic, but this is actually a solution to collect the license keys, which are stored in the registry of the customers. And with this solution, the document explains how to extend the agent to collect more registry keys. That's a supported feature, which is called include registry key. It shows how to put the Autodesk route for the registry key. And once the agent collects the data, you will see it is in the NDI file, sorry. And you can create a report. This is really for on-prem only. You can create a report which will actually show for each computer, will show the license key which was found on the computer by catching the WMI data, the registry data, sorry, in the inventory manager database. So this is a report which is reading a part in the compliance table, which is what you see on the web client, and the part in the inventory manager database, which is the raw inventory data. And the report will show you what is the last use date of the application and what is the license key which is related to the application. So that's an interesting, document that will give you an idea on how you can be creative and extend the data collection, including for registry keys, for getting, for instance, Autodesk license keys. Okay, I hope I was not too long. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your attention. And I will carefully read your questions and come back to you with answers on the next session, and expect this recording to be posted, I would say, within 3 days. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.